Welcome. As we continue our journey through the life of David, we come to a very interesting story that's found in 1 Samuel chapter 24 in the first 15 verses. And what this is going to be looking at is David's trust amid temptation. 1 Samuel 24, 1-15 reads as follows. Now when Saul returned from pursuing the Philistines, he was told, saying, Behold, David is in the wilderness of En-gedi. Then Saul took 3,000 chosen men from all Israel and went to seek David and his men in front of the rocks of the wild goats. And he came to the sheepfolds on the way, where there was a cave, and Saul went in to relieve himself. Now David and his men were sitting in the inner recesses of the cave. Then the men of David said to him, Behold, this is the day of which Yahweh said to you, Behold, I'm about to give your enemy into your hand, and you shall do to him as it seems good in your eyes. Then David arose and cut off the edge of Saul's robe secretly. And it happened afterward that David's heart struck him because he had cut off the edge of Saul's robe. So he said to the men, Far be it from me because of Yahweh that I should do this thing to my Lord, the anointed of Yahweh, to send forth my hand against him, since he is the anointed of Yahweh. And David tore his men to pieces with their swords and did not allow them to rise up against Saul. And Saul arose, left the cave, and went on his way. Now afterward David arose and went out of the cave and called after Saul, saying, My lord the king. And when Saul looked upon him, David bowed with his face to the ground and prostrated himself. And David said to Saul, Why do you listen to the words of men, saying, Behold, David seeks to do you evil? Behold, this day your eyes have seen that Yahweh had given you today into my hand in the cave. And some said to kill you, but my eye had pity on you, and I said, I will not send forth my hand against my Lord, for he is the anointed of Yahweh. Now my father, see the edge of your robe in my hand, for in that I cut off the edge of your robe and did not kill you. Know and see that there is no evil or transgression in my hand, and I have not sinned against you, though you are lying in wait for my life to take it. May Yahweh judge between you and me, and may Yahweh avenge me on you, but my hand shall not be against you. As the proverb of the ancients says, out of the wicked comes forth wickedness, but my hand shall not be against you. After whom has the king of Israel come out? Whom are you pursuing? After a dead dog, after a single flea. Therefore Yahweh be judge, and execute justice between you and me. And may he see and plead my cause, and execute justice for me, to escape from your hand. Here are a few things that happened in that. So a very interesting story, isn't it? David's hiding in the cave. Saul is pursuing David. He's got 3,000 men to go and hunt David down. And Saul then has the call of nature. And so he goes into the cave, and this is where the story takes place. But here are a few things. Number one, David's temptation, first of all, was to take the life of Saul. Remember in the story that his soldiers say, Look, Saul is available for you to kill. Why don't you rise up and kill him? And so he's got a temptation to do his own thing. Not to do what God is calling, but to do his own thing. So he's got a temptation. But then notice his trust in the story. David says, I am not going to lay a hand on the anointed of Yahweh. I will trust God's plan. I will trust in God's timing. And I think that's so very important for us today. We need to understand that God has got a plan for us, and we need to trust in his plans and his purposes for our lives. And then David shows tenderness. Amid this temptation, David shows tenderness. He shows grace. He shows grace to Saul, because when Saul leaves the cave, David goes out and calls to Saul. He says, I could have taken your life today. God had made you available. I could have taken your life, but I didn't, because I honor who God is. And he shows him the edge of the robe. And he says to him, I spared your life because I honor God above myself. I do what God calls me to do, not what I call to do. And so as you're facing your temptations today, face them head on and know that God is going to be there to provide a way out of those temptations, and that God will be there for you to trust in him. God bless you today.